This announcement by Ofgem today isn't really a surprise to you.
No, it's not a surprise. It's possibly a little worse than we thought it might have been. There's some of the most sober assessments. But as you rightly say, it's a continuum of price shocks that started in October last year are going to stretch, it looks like, into the winter and to January next year. And it's a problem of breadth and depth. It's brought many more people into, you're right, the definition of fuel poverty, having to spend 10% of their income. But you're absolutely right as well. It's the depth. It's the severity, the impact of this on people on the lowest incomes, but also in the least efficient homes, difficult and expensive to heat, who are going to have the prospect of a horrific winter coming up with not just financial hardship, but serious ill health, serious mental ill health. And we know that we lose 10,000 people every year directly because of the effects of a cold home.
Is this time for people who can to go and buy a wood burner? I mean, what in practical terms can people do?
There's actually very little. So advice organisations like myself, we have lots of people phoning in looking for support and help, and there's little. There's the top tips. There's a few hints you can do. Turn your thermostat down a degree, get some reflective material behind your radiator, fill the gaps, talk to your supplier if you're in debt. But to be honest, when it's this scale, the cost of heating a home has doubled, more than doubled, over an 18-month kind of period. People on fixed incomes, there's no way through it. Sadly, it means that the government have to step forward. They put it off, to be honest. We've had gestures rather than proportionate responses. This time, they need to do the basics, which is put money in the pockets of the people on the lowest incomes, or take money directly off their bills. No loans, no grants that are difficult to get hold of. Direct financial assistance to people who need it the most.
And that, in your view, is the only way through this crisis with the winter coming up later in the year?
That's the only urgent response. That's the urgent response, because it's horrific what's coming up, and it fundamentally is an issue of enabling people to afford to keep their homes warm. Longer term, there are two things that need to happen. We had the regulator at Parliament today. We just need to sort out the principles of our regulatory system in the energy market. So it starts from the principle of protecting the interests of those people who are most vulnerable. And long term, the reason why this isn't such a challenge for other Northern European countries, for Scandinavian country, is because our housing stock is so lousy. It's more expensive to heat. They lose heat faster than almost anywhere else in Europe. So we use more, we owe more, we pay more, we suffer more because our housing stock is so leaky. And that's the long-term way of insulating people from these volatile prices.